the trail. But really get out in nature. Really do. Put some yellow flowers around your house. Play some high vibrational music. But really the big thing, get out, get outside. And like I was saying, I like gardens. Sometimes I'm a little bit leery about, sending people out into the forest, or near the water, because that's a whole nother story in and of itself of, spirits that are drawn towards water or that are drawn towards wooded areas. But getting out there and getting your flowers, that can help rejuvenate you. And it's, and it's good. And I believe they set off their own song and tune, and they're healing. They're very healing. So get out and enjoy that, and that will help too. And find a nice swing in a park somewhere. I know that sounds silly, but no matter what your age is, go out after everybody's had dinner. People are at home before it gets too dark, and both of you hop on a swing and start swinging like you're 4 years old again, and get rid of some of that world tension. Get rid of it.
Yeah,
It's going to repair itself.
she says her anxiety deals mostly with his health, and yellow is her
Yeah,
favorite color.
yeah. Yellow's definitely going to work for her.
Hmm.
Definitely.
And Jan, we have the gardens here. You can be like, hey, Michael, I need to veg out for an hour or so. Come on over in the gardens, pull up a rocking chair. We don't have a swing yet, but pull up a rocking chair and just veg out in the garden area. And if you want to go for a walk into the woods or near the water, we can bring you down in the valley below because we have the creek there. And so we've been thinking about getting groups of people together to just get out into the nature anyways and just relax and do nothing. And we know one of the people down below, they have a farm. So they said, oh, if we ever want to walk through their property, we're allowed to.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So we'll be able to go, yeah, Jan, just let us know, and we can go and pack a little lunch for a picnic and just go down to the bottom there. It's only like maybe 10-15 minute walk, if that. So it's a nice little relaxing walk. So that's why, Christine, when you come over here to Costa Rica, it's like you're gonna love it up here. Like I said, we got the view of the Poas, we got hiking trails around, we got a little creek down below us. You can hear it at nighttime, and it's just a beautiful energies here.
Yeah, I look at the pictures all the time, and I've looked at the retreat, and stalking the page, and I was like, this really looks like something that I would want to do, and I believe that there's a lot of great healing that's going on there too.
Yeah, we're trying to, and we're fine tuning things. So it's been 2 years of nonstop renovating, but it's like we're finally getting there where it's like, okay, we have the garden area set up, and we can start doing some things here, and we're going to start a meditation class to help people. And like I said, if somebody in group wants to get together and go down into the valley for a little bit, we just go ahead, and we know enough people now who are Costa Rican, who are Ticos and Ticas, and they own property, and they're like, oh yeah, no problem, just go ahead. Just go and do this, and we can hike around, and it's just so amazing and relaxing. Very healing up
Yes,
here.
I could go there for about 2 months and come back to Texas a different looking woman.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, your visa's
Yeah,
good for 90 days, so you got 3 months to be here.
that's all I need.
Yep,
That's all I need. Just have you behind me go, no, just fresh fruits and vegetables, Christine.
yep.
Fresh fruits and vegetables.
Fresh fruits, veggies. We have some, different greens growing on the property, and you have it. We can figure out. There's a lot of medicinal plants here where you wouldn't really realize it, but you know, unlike the States where you can't talk about it, here in Costa Rica they do. So there's many
Right.
different things you can use to make teas and everything. So speaking of tea, I have my tea coming for me.
Hi, Ed.
Hi. Have a great night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
I asked him if he could, when you were doing the last reading, I asked him, I said, can you make me a tea and bring it to me? And he's like, okay. So he's really sweet. He tries to stay off camera and out in the other room. I said, that's fine. Every once in a while, one of the dogs will come up here and want to get on camera too. And it's like, all right, fine. You can say your hellos.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
love
there's a
that.
lot of plants that are medicinal. And, if you tell somebody, when you ask them, it's like, well, what's this plant for? And they're like, oh, you go ahead and take the leaves and grind them up and make a tea out of it. It's good for your stomach. Or you do this one here and it's good for a headache. Or, helps if you're sick and helps you if you have arthritis. So, and it's like, really? This is a tree. And I'm like, oh, no, you can still use it. That's what we use it for. And it's these old folk remedies. So we have some
Yeah.
plants on here that are supposedly really good for cancer of all types. So I'm like, okay, because considering right before we moved here in March of 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and they took it all out on a biopsy. And then I'm coming here and looking at all these plants that we have growing here, and it's like, oh yeah, you take these leaves and you make a tea, and it's good for cancer, and you use this one, and it's good for this, and I'm like, okay, thank you, Spirit, I get it. I'm in a healing area here.
Well, you look great.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Thank you.
So we got another in the chat here in the messages. Laura would like a little reading. She was born in 3/8/63.
She's close to my birthday. Does she have anything specific, or it's just her birthday?
She just put her birth date and wanted to know. I guess maybe it's a love reading or something. She wanted to know if there's anything on her husband with her too. So
on her husband for her too. Okay. Now, getting to her husband, and God bless the husbands on here. For him, I'm seeing. I don't know if maybe I should have done her first for time, but there's like a sacrifice being made that I feel from her husband. I don't know if she can acknowledge that, but I feel as if he's making a sacrifice and having to wait. And I don't. When I feel the waiting and the sacrifice, it feels more like a personal wait, a personal sacrifice, than a career wait, a career sacrifice. If that makes any sense, if that resonates with her. But as far as their love reading, and then I'll wait for whatever she posts. There's something on the wheel card with tarot where it's called the Soul Star. And this is an image that comes to mind when I think about their love. And the Soul Star is also, I like to call the wheel card the Soul Star, but it's also about destiny. It's also about destiny and having a soul connection. So, you know, they are very, very connected together in their marriage. It's nice to see that there's such good marriages on your show, and that love is there, and it's deep, and it's providing. But I'm curious. I mean, it's none of my business really, what his sacrifice is. But I feel as if he's feeling as if he's making an emotional sacrifice, not a work sacrifice.
She
and
said,
again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Her husband's birthday is June 27, 1957.
June 27th. Yeah. I don't do too much with birthdays. I mean, I can, write down a little chart to see if they're compatible and things like that, or just to get little, things off of him. But I mean, he's pretty well balanced. I don't want to, because I know we have like 5 minutes left. But I just wonder if he has spoken with her about the things that he feels that he sacrificed. And I get a little bit of an inclination that this is something that he's holding in. This is like an inner secret, to where, like sometimes we go through life and just like the other husband, woulda, shoulda, coulda, but not necessarily on that level. But there's just something that is really, that's really on his mind, and I believe that he can obtain it and do it. It's almost as if a place that he wanted to go, or people he wanted to see, or something that he wanted to, someone he wanted to talk to, a place that he wanted to visit. But I'm not sure if he shared that, but if he feels as if he's not able to do that, as if he's having to sacrifice his, I don't know, because it sounds worse how I'm delivering, but where he's having to sacrifice something that he needs or a goal that he wants to accomplish, just to make sure that everybody else is taken care of, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they've been married since 1991.
Yeah, that's not too long. It's not too long at all, 1991. Almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is your dog there?
The other one? No. Yeah, Ed has them both in the other room. Which is good. I said, Ed's been amazing. He keeps all the animals in the other room or tries to anyway. Sometimes they're like, they're sleeping. So he's like, all right, they should be good. But it's mostly his dog will come over and want attention. He's a collie. And he actually has a couple of YouTube videos. So he's like, oh, camera, good. I got time for me to get on here.
Mhm. But has her husband, I know we're running close enough, but I mean, has he been felt as if, you're welcome, but has he felt as if he's still maintaining his social circles, or feeling like he's excluded from certain social circles, or that those things have dissipated from him in his life? I think it would be really good for him to be around other people instead of like sending him out into the garden. Have them do more socializing, and I'm not sure of his astrological sign. I didn't write down his birth date, but
June 27th
I
is
believe that would be
Cancer.
good. Cancer,
Yep.
Cancer, but yeah, I was sitting there thinking, oh, probably a Gemini, but Cancer's good too. Cancers like to get out there and be social too, even though they're extremely, really logical with things, but they like to get out there. But maybe plan an event around people, not necessarily family, because family can be a little bit restricting sometimes, but to where you're with close friends, people that you're really close to on a really easy, open level. And I think he might like that. He might like that a lot. He likes to race motorcycles and has been. Yeah. But I saw that but.
He says he likes to race motorcycles and has been busy working a lot.
Oh, busy working a lot. Yeah, it'll be good for him to get out and socialize. Maybe even go to those motorcycle rallies too if he has one of those and get around, hang around with the people when they go on those rallies. But it'll be good for him to get out.
Cool.
It'll be definitely good.
So you're also a medium too, correct?
I do not conjure spirits. If I do a reading with someone and someone comes forward, I'm not going to deny it. But there are some people who they say, "Oh, I'm trying to reach my grandfather or my father." I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I prayed for that, but I don't have those kind of skills yet. Yeah, he would rather raise. Yeah, he definitely should do that because it's like he's sacrificing that. It's just like he's having to give it up, and he doesn't want to give it up. So that would be really good for him. And socializing would be really good.
Cool.
Welcome. You're welcome.
So do we have you for 1 hour or 2 tonight?
For 2.
Okay, just checking.
It's like whenever, just hanging around.
Yeah, sometimes I'm the same way too with spirit. It's like, I can ask if they want to come through, but a lot of times it's up to them. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not in the mood to deal with spirit communication, and they're yelling at me. I want to come through, and it's like, okay, chill out, relax, and but yeah, a lot of times it's like, no, I'm not going to go knocking on the door and saying, hey, spirit, you want to come in and talk, but they can be fun to communicate with sometimes. I try telling people, huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
I was going to say, I tell people that their personalities when they're on the spirit side is the same as when they were alive.
Right.
So, and some people don't agree. They're like, oh no, they have to be better. It's like, no, not necessarily.
I've had some that have been really insistent, and when I get that though, then I'll get aggravated, and I'm like, you need to maintain control. If you don't stop, we're going to end this.
Yeah.
Because I don't particularly care for that. Now, I've had some that, like when I've used Elrod or, whatever, it'll just be like, yes, or I can feel the energy, and they'll just be really excited. I don't mind excited spirits, but I have had, let's just say probably about 10. Let's just say about 10 spirits that were just really, really angry and aggravated.
Yeah.
And I just had to cut it off and then stop, and I didn't do any more readings like that, for a week or so, because it drains you too when you have to deal with that, because they're sucking everything out of you to get their energy to have that hostility.
Yeah.
It's really pulling, really pulling.
Yeah, I've had a few like that, and the one that I tell people that the personalities stay the same is I had one woman come over one time. She says, "Oh, I want to reach so and so." I'm like, "Well, I'll see if they want to come through." I said, "I don't know." And the first thing I heard is it's like, I didn't want to talk to her when I was alive. Why the hell would I want to do that now? And I'm like, I think he's here. And she's okay. So I told that to her. She started crying. She's, oh my God, that's him. I said, okay, then what do you want to talk to him for? She goes, well, we haven't talked for most of my life, and I just wanted to make sure he's okay. I said, well, that's your answer. He's perfectly fine. She goes, oh, so he does exist on that side? I said, yes. And she goes, I said, does that all make sense? Oh, yeah, he would never want to talk to me when he was living. So, yeah, that makes sense if his personality stays the same. I said, okay, there you go. You know, that's so much money. Yeah. Thank you, you know.
Yeah, and I just don't want to lie to anybody. I mean, you get a lot of, let's just say, psychics that are out there that say, oh, yes, I can get a hold of your uncle or your grandparents or this and this. And they're full of stuff. They're full of stuff, and they can't really, and they're making something up, and they're going on a fishing trip. And I have had so many people. I had a really close relationship with my grandmother on my mother's side. And I have even tried to, there was only one time where she brushed my hair with my hand when I was in, you know, just a very, very, very emotional, trying time in my life. I felt that one time, but I've never communicated with her. And it's something that I hope to be able to do here instead of waiting until I get to the other side. But I'll get psychics, and I don't really like to go to psychics, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I don't trust most of them, so I just keep it to myself. It's a probably horrible thing for me to say. But they all say, oh, she loves you, she misses you, she appreciates how you treated her in the end of her life. And I'm like, yeah, but there's something that happened, you know, on a certain day that I noticed I won't speak in public, you know, that she would know because it was only her and I there. Yeah. Whether she was, you know, at a certain place where I know that if my grandmother came forward, that would be what she would say. And no one said it yet. Yeah. No one. So
that's the same way with me, with my mom. There's one specific thing that I know. And, you know, some people were kind of close to like, well, you know, what happened? I said, well, I shouldn't have to tell you anything.
Right.
You know, it's one thing that when I was there with her, when she crossed over, and there's one thing that happened at that point, and that would let me know it's like, yeah, she's coming through to you. It's because I take that as a sign when she was crossing that everything was fine. I said, but yeah, and I've had the same way where people, you know, trying to fish for it, and I'm like, I'm not telling you, I don't post it online. I've not done that. People do know that I was with her when she crossed and I was holding her hand, but there was something she had done, and I take that, and it's like, if you were really communicating with her, she knows what it is.
Right.
You know.
Right. That's just too important. It's too important to people, you know, that's someone that they love. It would be too important to me, you know, so I don't have any time for that unless you're the real deal, you know.
Yeah. And well, it's kind of, you know, it's strange that you brought up about grandma, because you've been echoing on my side once in a while, and I'm like, so when that usually happens, for me, it usually means that my guest has somebody in spirit around them all the time. And so I'm like, okay, you know, I have no idea what it was, but then all of a sudden it just came through grandmother. But, you know, you could easily be saying, well, you know, I just said my grandmother's in spirit. Right. It's like, yeah. But I want to know, what is July, like I saw numbers 7-3. Like July 3rd, something like that. Does that date have any meaning for you? Because I'm not getting anything else. I just saw like a 7-3, or maybe she was 73, but I'm seeing like a 7 and a 3.
She was 75, 76 when she passed away. I want to say heading towards. She was born in November, and she passed away at the end of November. But I know that 7-3 was the date that my grandson was projected to be born, was July the 3rd.
Okay, because that's why I kept saying 7-3, and I'm like, yeah, and I wasn't able to figure out why, and I just kept saying 7-3, and that's why I said, I don't know if it's July 3rd or 73, but it was a 7 and 3, and it would have a significance for you.
Right.
And because we can exist in spirit and here at the same time. So, right. Which is kind of really kind of strange when you think about it. It's like, wait a minute, while I'm here, I'm also in spirit, and it's like, yes, because we exist in all time and space. It's just our consciousness is aware of right now. So, just keep an eye. Okay, birthmark. Does the new grandchild have like a birthmark someplace? Because I'm seeing something like a birthmark. It's really small. It's kind of like in an odd place. So you may have to go ahead and look or something. Because she's wanting to let me know about something to do with a birthmark. So I don't know if that means anything. And it's actually, I don't know if it's her specifically. Because like I said, we can exist in everything else, and being that young, they're not blocked from communicating through.
Right.
But I'm getting something that could possibly be her reincarnated.
My grandson.
Yes.
I want to say, because, and I know that even like you're saying, even when we exist in life, we exist in spirit. I get that. My grandson doesn't like me whatsoever. He doesn't. He's only a week and a half old, but I'm telling you, he just does not like me at all. He wants his mom. He does gas. I told him he's not having anything to do with it. But my grandmother and I were so extremely close. And you speak about grandchildren, but my granddaughter, Madison, you say that, and I've always believed that my granddaughter was the reincarnation of my grandmother. And when she was born, I was sitting alongside of the doctor right there, and I saw this shadow come from the headboard of my daughter's hospital bed, go around. And Madison was having problems coming up. The heartbeat was lowering, and this, shadow came around, went between me and the doctor, and went right into my daughter's, birth canal. And it wasn't but maybe 2 minutes later, Madison was born, and it was just so interesting to see, her spirit, or whether it was a guardian angel, but her disposition and everything. And she'll say something. She said something that was something that my grandmother always said to me, and it just, I was just like, okay, but I wasn't like, oh my God,
yeah.
But it was just so beautiful to me. She goes, it's okay, sweetie, just breathe. And it's like, we're not going to get boo-hoo on camera here on Michael's show. But I'm just like, only my grandmother said that.
Yeah. And that's why I said I wasn't sure if it was her, but it was another relative who just came through with him. But there's something to do with the birthmark someplace. It's what they were insisting on letting me know. So I just figured it's like, okay,
now
let me get that.
She does on her hand. She has on her hand.
Okay.
And then she's also like, it's not a birthmark, but I mean, it's just a certain type of bump on her neck that was something that was identical to what my grandmother had as well. So it's like, like physical characteristics and little flaws, but I can't imagine anything being flawed on my granddaughter. And she's extremely psychic. I mean, I could bring her in here one day, you could have her, and she would just, she just knows it all.
Who's 12?
Who's 12?
Yeah.
No one.
Okay. I saw something like the number 12, so I don't know. It could be a December birth or something, or 12 years old.
My daughter, yeah. And see, look at how good he's doing. My grandmother, who I'm close to, it's like we're repeating each other's lives, and it's like this karmic thing, but my grandmother, I mean, she was a single parent. Her husband passed away when my mother was 3, or my grandfather, I don't mean any disrespect. And my mother was born on Christmas Day. And she had 1 boy and 2 girls. Well, I had my children. And when I had my daughter was born on Christmas Day. And I have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Okay.
So we share children with Christmas birthdays.
Cool. Yeah, that's why I kept seeing 12. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to say it out there, 12. I don't know if it's 12 years old, December, but 12 was there and it was significant. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's how I can see things. And like I said, when I heard you, the sound crackling on the end, it's like, okay, I'll say what I'm getting, not a problem.
Yeah.
So they just come through just to let you know. It's like, hey, it's all good, it's all fine. Who had a near-death experience?
Me.
Okay.
Twice.
Okay, because they just wanted to acknowledge that they were there to help you out, and you've seen them. Very faint memories, but you're like, did I or did I not? And because they want to let you know, whoever it is that's here, I'm not sure exactly, but they're just saying about the near-death experience. They were there with you to help you. You see them every once in a while, especially when you're really stressed and you're wondering why now, why this, why that.
Right.
They're here to help you. and they go ahead and communicate to you to let you know that everything's fine.
Right.
You've been going through some issues lately too.
Sorry?
You've been going through some issues lately.
Oh my goodness, yes. My goodness, yes. And I'll talk to my grandfather a lot. When it was up in Kendallville, Indiana. There's a name for the lake, but I had gone into a drop off, and I was probably about 7, 8 years old, just guessing with memory. And it was just really unique. When I went to the drop off, you know how you're struggling to get your air when you're drowning, and I would struggle. It seemed like just a little bit, and it was just like in a blink of an eye, my spirit was out of my body, and I could see myself there, but I wasn't like, oh my goodness, I'm dead, you know. And I remember putting my arms out, like even though I did, you know, it's just like making a gesture, putting my arms out, and that was my first interest. And I was like waving my hands. You know, my arms up and down, and I'm looking, and I'm invisible. But it was like trying to do the action, but I'm invisible. But I was totally intrigued by it. But then I remember seeing my grandfather near me in the water, you know, a little bit away, my father, my brother, and then the women up on the other side of the dock. And I remember thinking, well, they don't see me. But I wasn't concerned about it. I just recognized that they didn't see me. You know, so that kind of goes along with what you were saying. With what happened during that experience. But then now it's like lately with stuff going on, but I see my grandfather a lot, like every day, several times a day.
Who's John or Josh? Because I'm seeing like a J-O with an H there, so I'm not sure if it's John or Josh.
He's not passed away. but that's John. His name is John. I don't want to say his whole name, but his first legal name is John.
Okay.
But I go by, but he goes by the nickname of Jeff. But I won't say his last name.
Okay.
And I have had an ongoing attraction to him since I met him when I was first married. Before my son was born, before my little girl was born, Mary was very young, my oldest daughter. And it's like when I met him, I was like, oh, snap. I got married too soon. If I would have waited just a little bit longer. And so we always kind of like reconnect and everything. Uh-huh. It was always very sweet and everything. But the irony of that, so I think they're playing a joke on you, is because I was always we had this like real strong spiritual connection. Just 2 weeks ago, he came out and told me he was gay. They just put it on these airs. And I was just like, well, I kind of always knew it, but I just kind of thought that you were just kind of just a really religious guy. And I want to think that so many times I wanted to show you his picture and say, what do you think about this? What does your radar say? You know, to use a better word. But I was just like, no, you know, so I always kind of knew, but I was in denial. Even today, I was like, oh, well, Jeff is coming to Jenny's birthday party this Sunday. I'm excited about it. So it's like my heart still loves him in that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's a part of me that's in denial that's like, no, he's just saying that to get me off his back. he's just faking gay, you know. But I don't think so. Yeah, because I think they're just trying to play jokes.
Yeah, who's Mary?
Mary's my oldest daughter.
Okay. Because I'm just hearing these names. I'm like, I'm just gonna say it out. It's like, okay, you know, that's fine. You know, a lot of times that's how spirit comes through me. So it's like, okay, you know. I guess Spirit's trying to tell me, it's like, Michael, you have to have the confidence now. You know, we have things for you to do. It's like, okay, whatever. Because I've been saying that lately. It's like, all right, Spirit, what do you want me to do here? And that's why I got the shows going back on. But now it's like, you know, I have you on as a guest and I'm reading you.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm like, shine. But it's like throughout there was an echo. They're gonna come back. But to where it's more frequent to where I'll see like sparkles, and I don't have high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. I take medication, but I'll look and like I'll see something going by, or there'll be like this sparkling something, you know, circular sparkling something in an area, and I pay attention to it. Now I'm just at the point where I'm just like, hi, how are you doing? But there's a lot going on, so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to die soon. I guess my time's almost up. They're coming to get me, you know, but...
Yeah, no, I did that. I had a panic attack for about 2 weeks. I was like, okay, my time's coming. They're coming to get me. I'm seeing the shadows on the side, and I'm having these weird dreams, and is it a premonition or what? And I'm like, you got to stop this. No, Spirit has some major things for you to do here, and you just need to chill out and let it go. And so when I see the shadows like you do, I'm like, okay, hi, what's up? Who are you? If you speak Spanish, well, you have to say it in English because I'm sorry, my Spanish is no bueno and muy limitado. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Spirit has a way of coming through for everybody.
Yeah, they can hold off a little bit though. They can hold off. I mean, it's you and I here and the listeners, but I have had, oh my goodness, I don't even know if we want to go into the lucid dreams, but I mean dreams to where I was like waking up screaming, from certain spiritual beings in dreams and such like that. But I think with my time, I don't want to like go off on that. I did want to, if we have time, I really wanted to show people, and I know it may sound silly, but it's something that's very helpful because we have a whole lot of negative energy around us.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we're bendy, and a lot of people, if you don't mind, it's your show.
It's all about you, and it just happened to read you.
I love it. We could make it a 3-hour show. 3 hours. We go in the archives.
Uh-huh.
We can do that. I don't care. I'll play with you all night. We'll just do that. But and a lot of people think it's like a namaste or a connection with God or a higher power. But a bindi actually protects your third eye chakra from negative energies penetrating your third eye chakra. It actually blocks that. And I can help people who are listening and who will tune into your show later on, like 100 years from now, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to try that. And so I made sure that I wore one tonight because I want to show the effects. And you can do it with a pendulum. And I don't know if you've ever done this before or if you've ever seen this, but like if I hold it, and I'm trying to, but I think we can see, but if I hold it right now in front of my third eye, with the bindi, it doesn't move. It's not moving. This is like my little demo. But if I take my bindi off, it's like it covers that. I mean, it's like very interesting.
Yeah.
And if I sit there, put it on,
yeah,
it's going to start to move because it's picking up the energy. It's like a freeway system going back and forth, taking in negativity and positivity. So if anybody ever wants to know whether your third eye chakra is open, just take your pendulum or a thread and a ring, like some people do, old time days, and just take it, because I've done it with people, and sometimes it won't move. But you can pretty much tell how open your third eye chakra is by the swing of the pendulum, and you can exercise with that too, and do that exercise to help your third eye chakra, to open your third eye.
Cool. So I have to start wearing one here then.
And you did, because when I was doing a little class and somebody had mentioned, they said, well, what if you put oil there? What if you put oil on there? And I said, you know what? Let's try that. Let's try it. That's a very good question. And so we put some myrrh in the same spot, and it blocked the traffic. The
cool.
Didn't move. Yeah.
So Spirit's been having me do that for a while then, because I'll go like this and put some oils here. I got frankincense, myrrh. I have a frankincense roll-on. So I'm doing that when I feel like it. I'll just put it up here and, put it on the throat chakra too, and the hot chakra, and do those. So it's like, okay, cool. So you can do it with the oils. Because I think if I went with the bendy on, everyone would be like, that gringo is crazy. What the heck is he doing?
But it works. So Spirit's like protecting you and making sure you don't get all kinds of Klingons and gunk, in there. So that's good. But I thought I'm gonna wear an extra bendy, a pretty one, just for Michael, just for his show.
Well, good. It is a nice one, yeah. Well, it's good to know that. So I start seeing people walking around with one. It's like, oh, they listen to the show.
Yeah, when they didn't before, like, I am protecting my third eye chakra. I am. I'm protecting it. Yeah, you were doing really good with readings. I should probably just tell you, but I don't know if I want to go into and I also do cowrie shells too, but I've been going into things about my grandma because I'm still going to keep that secret.
Yep, I don't blame you.
And we don't want to have a soap opera because I can do a soap opera.
Yeah.
But these are also, and I don't know if you're familiar with these, especially being in Costa Rica. But it's an African form of divination called cowrie shells, or they're obi readings. Have you seen them where you're at? I would think that they would move over to where you're at because of
Yeah, I've seen them in, they've made necklaces and other things with them, but I haven't been at the beaches out here yet. So, but I'm sure when we finally make it to a beach, we'll see them out there.
you can actually divine off of them, use them for divination.
Oh, nice.
And they're called Obi readings. And we can talk about that whenever we have time, or you can just continue reading me. I mean, I'll let you shine some more.
No, they managed to get the messages across that we needed to. That was most important and all. And the other information will come out, when it's more private for you. So sooner or later you will have that information that'll come out where you can have your own moment and do what you need to do, and it'll come out one of these times. That's when I do a reading for people. Sometimes I'll be talking and I say something, they're like, "What did you say?" And I'll say something like, "Where did that come from?" It's, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I just started talking and the information just came out.
Have you ever had it to where you were reading someone but you don't remember what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that a lot of times over at the church when I'm doing a sermon.
Yeah.
Other ministers will be there with the whole written down sermon and all, and I'm sitting there just standing there like, you don't write any of this down? It's like, why? I said, Spirit's just going to tell me to say what I need to say. And I'll be up there reading and doing things or reading for people, and I'm like, did that make sense to you? And they're like, oh my God, yes. I'm like, good. Can you tell me what I just said? Because I have no idea. And then they'll tell me, like, where the heck did that come from?
Well, I was like put in a complete trance. Like I have no memory, anything of it. I went to a women's retreat and all the women were together and they were talking about, violations of their father and things that they suffered as children. Yeah, and the women, it was very emotional. The energy was very emotional. They were all crying and weeping. It was very intense. And it was too much for me. Things can get too overwhelming for me emotionally, and I have to get up and leave. Mm-hmm. I have to leave because I just can't handle all the energy. And so I was getting up to leave, and when I was walking out, I remember stopping when I was trying to walk out and leave out of that conference room. But that's all I remember. And, I was tired then. I don't have too much memory of it's kind of like driving home, trying to remember how you got home, but you just got there. Don't really remember going to bed. But when it was time for breakfast and all the women were gathering for breakfast, this woman came up behind me and she said, I want to thank you so much for your message. It was right on. And, how did you know that and everything? And she was just going on and on and on. And obviously I was standing there talking to her for about 20, 30 minutes, giving her a word. And I have absolutely no idea. It's like Spirit just took over and started communicating. So it's like, I honestly just don't remember anything. And I turned her and I said, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember. So, and I, was kind, but I really honestly don't remember any of that. So that's interesting too. When God does it, I think it's okay. But when I had a friend of mine whose mother was into channeling and transmediumship, and she had hopped into me without my consent, and that went on for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Like 2 hours where there was this communication. She was trying to relay this and this and this about her death and all this. But I was pretty upset about that. And I was like, I don't know how that happened. And I need to learn to ground better because I don't want anything like that happening again. But she was a pretty strong spirit. She was pretty strong, but that was unacceptable.
Yeah, I've had a few try to take over for me. And I'm like, oh, no, you don't. This is my body. I'm the only one that's in here. You tell me what you want to do. I can, I have all the clairs, so I can see, hear, feel, smell, taste, and all that. And so it's a bit overwhelming when they make you feel what they did for how they died. Like I've had somebody had a heart attack, and all of a sudden I'm standing there, after finding out that I have a heart murmur, or different things, and I'm like, okay, am I having a heart attack or what? They're like, no, but they did. She did. I said, good, it's not me.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, don't panic me here. Just give me some minor things, but yeah, I won't. I'm the same way. I'm like, no, you're not taking over the body. You're not trying to do anything. This is mine.
Have you been able to control your emotions whenever you were speaking to a spirit? Are you strong enough and grounded enough to Like if a spirit is weeping and you feel the love or the emotion, or if they start weeping, does that affect you in any way? Or are
Yeah.
you able to keep your composure?
For the most part, I can keep the composure, and it's hard. I have to stop, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
just give me a second, and I'm like, okay, gotta let it pass. I feel it, but I have to let it pass, and then I go ahead and tell somebody it's like I'm feeling very sad, very sorrow, feeling this way, and I'll stop her. I'm like, okay, I gotta okay, and stop and do that to try to maintain that because they get so emotional. When they start
Right.
laughing, and I'm like, okay, I can't stop that. I can't stop laughing, and I've got to do this. And Louis and I were out one time at a restaurant, and I had a glass of sangria, and it's like, okay, now I'm starting to giggle, and he's like, "What do you get the giggles for?" I said, "I have a spirit here. I think it's the waitress's grandmother." He goes,
No.
"They don't normally do that to you." I said, "No," I said, "I've had a couple of drinks, so my barriers are down." I said, "I've had the one glass of sangria already." I said, "So I'm feeling a little tipsy, I guess." And so she's coming by, and I'm giggling, and I said, "I normally don't do this." I said, "But like the Long Island medium," I said, I think I have a spirit here for you." I said, "Is your grandmother on your father's side in spirit?" And she's like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." I said, "She's very happy, very wonderful energies." I said, I can't, I just want to laugh." I said, "I figured out, one glass of sangria is, got me tipsy." And she's like, "No, that was her. She was always laughing." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't do this." I said, "I won't let them do this when I'm out unless somebody asks." I said, so I read her. I said, "You just started dating a boyfriend that she did not like." And she's like, "Oh my God, how do you know?" I said, "Because she's here telling me." I said, "That's why she came through." I said, "Because, she knows that he beat you and he abused you." And she's like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." I said, "That's why she didn't like him." She goes, "Uh-uh." I said, "You took him back 3 days ago." She goes, "Yeah, he said he changed." I said, "No, he hasn't." I said, "He's still cheating with the one person that was your best friend and she realized you were cheating with." And she's like, "Oh, she is with you." I said, "Well, that's why I'm laughing, because, the emotions." And, next thing you know, she's going to all the other waitresses over there. She's pointing at me, and she started, getting teary-eyed and all. And she goes, "Thank you so much." She goes, "I didn't ever believe in any of that, but," and I stopped giggling. I'm like, "Okay, I'm fine." But yeah, it was really hard. But yeah, the barriers were down from having that one glass of sangria, and it was like she was just coming through. And I said, "I have to read her." I said, "I don't like to
Yeah.
do this." I said, "But I have to, because she's not going to make me. She's not going to stop. Just have
Yeah.
that energy going through."
But I hate to say that it gets worse. I don't want to say, yeah, it gets worse, because I don't drink. I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I can go whine on forever about the don'ts. But when I moved into the house that I'm in now, uh, I sensed that there's spirits here and they wanted us to drink. So I went and I'm like, well, okay. And I usually, like, I don't. I was like, so I went to the liquor store, got, some beer, some brandy and Vic, some B&B, and some tequila, and I made sure that I got some tobacco too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to smoke. I figured that my son could do that if he wanted to. But
Yeah.
we were drinking, and it was crazy because, and I don't know if but it's just like more knowledge comes to you when you're drinking. When I was drinking, it's not. I'm not going to just go drink so I get more knowledge. But it's amazing how they come forward and they play more and they communicate more. With that, like I saw, someone who was listening to the show saying that the spirits like the spirits.
Yeah.
That they like the alcohol, and they really do. But it got to me to where I couldn't. I had to just stop because I would be worse. I'd be all over the place, back so many years ago. But they do. But we had blessed the house, and I'd sensed their spirits in the house, but they were totally pleased and appeased, and they were saying that they wanted us to smoke the tobacco so they could get that, and I was like, no, I don't want to. That's disgusting. But I went ahead and did it, and it's just like the house has been peaceful ever since. But it's like that's the last time, unless knock on wood. Yeah, but it's pretty interesting.
It is. Yeah, they definitely go ahead and come through that way. And I was dating somebody many, 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 many years ago, and we had a candle going, and we're drinking and just relaxing, having a good time. And all of a sudden I'm staring at the candle flame, and I started reading about his grandmother, and I came up with names, and I came up with she had a young boy. She had a boy and then a girl, and she miscarried them both. I said, it's a dark family secret nobody ever talked about. And he's like, I don't know about this. I have to find out. So I'm just going on, and I'm telling him how she was buried with a red dress, but she's not really wearing it, but she has it there with her. It's almost like it's under her pillow and where she was buried with. And he goes, oh my God. He goes, you're freaking me out. I said, why? He goes, she wanted to wear a red dress, and the funeral director said that's inappropriate, so they folded up and put it under her pillow. But I was drinking, and I was feeling no pain, and she's just going on and on and on and on. And he's like, you got to stop. And he blew out the candle, and I broke that connection. And the following day, he goes to me, he goes, I can't date you no more. I'm like, why? He goes, you freaked the hell out of me. I said, okay. Yeah. And he goes, I asked my mother about the miscarriage and the little boy and the little girl and the names you told me. He goes, that was them. And my mother was like, how do you know this? Nobody talks about it. He goes, so sorry. He goes, I really like you and all. He goes, but I'm not dating you. He goes, you're too freaky. I said, okay, fine, bye. But yeah, they managed to come through, and they want to have a message.
Yeah, I mean, like, people who came into my family, like, I was just doing the dishes at my mother's house back when my daughter Jennifer, who's going to be 21, was just a small baby, and I had heard, like on the Ten Commandments, that voice that's thou shalt not kill, that low tone voice. My brother and his fiance at that time, who's now his wife, were coming in the door, and I heard that low voice for the first time. I was like, she's pregnant. And I was like, what? Because it was like the first time. And I turned to my brother and I was like, Jerry, is Elizabeth pregnant? He was like, no. But then 15 minutes later, he took me aside and says, how'd you know? We're keeping it quiet. We don't want anybody to know until after we're married, and so I thought that was pretty interesting, that nice Charlton Heston Ten Commandment type of thing. It was pretty cool. So lots of unique things. And I know in my little bio, it talks about, and I remember before you were posting a picture of what this young boy thought that Christ had looked like. When he had that vision of Christ. And we put that in the bio when I have a daughter who has severe cerebral palsy. And she was able to breathe when she was born, and I had gotten pregnant like after my 6 weeks. And we went to do the alpha-fetoprotein test, and the doctor said that my son would have Down syndrome. And I had prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed, every day, every single day. And I was awakened from my sleep, and I had a manifestation of Christ. And it was the most amazing, loving experience of my whole entire life. So it's like ever in life, if I ever feel or ever doubt anything or ever doubt that anybody's looking out for me, I always remember that. Very, very beautiful, very loving. Even though in theology class, when I took theology, it speaks about Christ not being attractive and all that stuff, but no, Jesus is gorgeous. Jesus is very handsome and very loving and very accepting, and not what man has made Christ out to be. No. People put a lot of dogma with Christ, but imagine yourself being a 3-year-old wanting to hand, Jesus a little piece of bubble gum or a little toy, and if they're very accepting and nurturing, that's the love that I felt from Christ, as if I was a small child just coming before somebody who loved me dearly, And I made a lot of mistakes in life, but it was like they never existed. It never even existed. Yeah. So it was a beautiful experience.
2 questions in the chat room, but right now it's been bugging me, and I have to get it out. Get it out towards you. Did somebody in your family commit suicide?
I did. Okay. I mean, I didn't. I mean, obviously I'm here.
Well, yeah, but yeah.
But no one in my family did, but I attempted suicide. That was my second near-death experience.
Okay, because I got suicide, and they were saying you have to get that out. And it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they want to talk about it?
stupid. But yeah, they realize it's one of those. So many times, so many issues that were going on: depression, loneliness, broken heart, health issues, and you're just feeling no way out. Where all of a sudden it's pills. What about pills?
With me,
Yeah.
pills?
Something about pills. I don't know.
I mean, I wasn't a pill popper or anything like that. I didn't try to take pills. I shot myself. And John, who you said, his name's
Because something about pills when I was seeing things, and it was like, okay, what had to do with pills? So
yeah, it's probably because I want Norcos really bad for my pain, but I gave them up. But no, but I mean, I can see how that would correlate with something, in present time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, and we can, I mean, I don't mind discussing because I think people walk through it to where I don't think that aspect of depression or suicidal tendencies ever actually leaves someone who has had the suicidal tendencies. And I can say that in present time and with the hard times that I have actually thought, if only there was enough of this, or if only I had this, or if I wouldn't have sold my gun, that I would do this. That's come up. So they're probably just tattletaling on me. But when I had attempted suicide before, I was just getting ready to pull the trigger, and right at the point of pulling the trigger, the phone rang. Mm-hmm. And when the gun was like this, it startled me, and it made it go up like this. And so it grazed the side of my head, and if he wouldn't have called, it would have been a different story.
It was right side?
Yeah, my right side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my right side.
Okay. Yeah, because I was feeling something weird here on my right side. I'm like, okay, it's the right side. It's like,
Yeah. And so then, like, after that, that's when I had seen and people talk about, and I don't want to sit here and say, oh, well, no, this and this happened, and have people say, oh, well, I've got a hall pass then to do this. And that's not true. I mean, because I saw a level of health where it was like on the movie What Dreams May Come, but their whole bodies were halfway in the, sorry, I thought I turned that off, were halfway in the ground. And, and they were trying to reach for each other, but they couldn't touch.
Yeah.
And they were really tormented about that, having human contact and human touch. And I was shown that by my guide. And then I was taken up to the throne of God, and I even saw the Hall of Knowledge where they keep the Akashic records. And that was very interesting. But then I had also seen, and I call them the three angels, but they're androgynous. A lot of people say, oh, well, angels have wings. I haven't seen an angel with wings in my experience, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. I know that there's different types of angels. I haven't been able to see one with wings. Maybe I will. But they were three together. My guide was there. Well, actually, there were two. And my guide was there. He was there just looking, giving me comfort. Seeing him, I knew that everything was okay. But there was one androgynous angel that was just staring at me. Did nothing but just stared. And as if he was collecting information, just observing, collecting. No facial expression, like those guards in England, just his dead, direct stare. And next to him was another angel who had this very big, huge ivory-like book. It was very thick. And he had a blindfold around his eyes. And he was writing down everything that the angel next to him was observing. Mm-hmm. Every thought, action, movement, was all being written, in this book. And it was just quite interesting, very interesting, absolutely an amazing thing. And so I was just like, well, I think I, need to be a little bit more careful, about how I treat people and, my actions and what I do in the world and all kinds of levels, because it's being recorded.
Yeah,
everybody, it's being recorded.
Yeah, I was shown the Akashic records, the Hall of Records, the whole bit. I went there as a visitor, not from near death or anything else. I just went there with a relative who had passed, and I was 12, 13, and went there, and I'm like, okay, why can't I make out faces? And I'm meeting all these people that are relatives and all, and I'm related and energy-wise, and And they're like, well, because you're just visiting here, you're not dead. And I said,
Right,
oh,
right.
okay. But so much energy, so much love, and all these spirits around. And one
Yeah.
spirit came over, and my relative goes, well, you're going to go with this spirit right now. I'm like, okay. So, that's fine. And they brought me over to the Hall of Records, and they says, I want to show you some things, why it's important for you that you have to go back, because I was given a choice, stay there and let them take care of me like I took care of my relative, or come back. And I was like, no, I want to go back. And he's like, okay, well, we're going to show you some things that you need to know for when you get older. So I got to see a whole bunch of things for the Akashic Records and all, and it's just so much love and energy. And I think a lot of people see wings on spirits or angels because they can float around and they don't really have to walk. And I think subconsciously we're like, wait a minute, how can they do that? So they picture wings around. So, but it's interesting.
Right.
Who's Jeremiah?
I don't know who Jeremiah is now. We were almost going to name my grandson Jeremy, but not Jeremiah.
Okay, because all of a sudden I heard the name Jeremiah, so I'm just putting that out there too. So.
Yeah, maybe someone wants to quote some scripture my way or something.
It could also be the name of one of your guides over there. It could be Jeremiah.
Yeah.
There may be an Archangel Jeremiah or something.
I have cold chills when you said probably one of my guides over there. Okay. Because one thing that you reminded me of was when I was there as well, because I had felt as if I had no support system. I felt really lost. And even though people say, oh, well, you're happy, Jeremiah was a whole drunk book. Anyway, to where I had really felt, to where there's, I wouldn't say it was the counseling, but to where, when I was asked questions and things like that, or caused to bring things up inside of me, to where I had felt as if I was alone, that where there was this feeling that I was alone. And let's just say Christ consciousness, to make everyone happy, had told me to turn and look, to see, it was just like I acknowledged that I was alone. And he said, turn and look. And when I turned to look, it was like forever. And it I could just feel this overwhelming love right now, and it was like forever. Mm-hmm. I could see, like you're saying, people, my knee hairs are sticking up and I don't have knee hairs. It was like forever. I could see, it was like in this horseshoe shape where they're gathered, but it went on until I couldn't see anymore. And it's like I recognized them, but didn't, like you were saying. It's like I knew who they were. They were all part of my soul family. Mm-hmm. And they're all there supporting me and looking out for me and guiding me. And there were even some that I tried to look on the internet to where they looked Palladian. There was maybe 5 or 6 that I saw that looked like what I have seen as far as Palladians. And so I believe that we have many, many, many different, I don't know the right word to say. I don't know the right definition. I don't want to say entities, but let's just say it for sane purposes, from different galaxies, planets, mm-hmm. dimensions, things like that, looking out for us.
Yeah, I believe the same thing. And when we finish here, we can go ahead and go into other dimensions, other worlds, and go ahead and live a life as a different entity instead of just being a physical human. We can go ahead and experience that, or we can just stay in spirit.
Right. It's just it's an amazing thing. It's amazing. And when I had, and I'm going to be really careful with my verbiage, but when I had my stroke, mm-hmm. there, and I don't know, but I think it's important. I'll be again mindful of it. But when you have your stroke, there are, and I believe that there's strong spirituality in sexuality. Mm-hmm. And when I had, after I had my stroke, those things weren't functioning.
Yeah.
Any relationship or anything that I had, it was just this couldn't exist because this wasn't functioning. That sexual aspect wasn't functioning. And, I was pretty sorrowful about it. I was sorrowful about the loss of a companion, a friend, and then how I felt as far as things that I lost. and I was in a sleep state. I was sleeping. I can only guess, like a wonderful REM state or something. However it was.
Yeah.
But I remember when it happened, I could sense that there were two beings behind me. I couldn't see them, but I knew that I could feel that they were behind me. It was like telepathically, I could hear one say, okay. And I had a climax, a strong climax. And then I heard the other one say, okay, one more. And they were all like behind me. I could sense them behind me. And then there was one more. And I was petrified. I was petrified because I was like, this could put me in another stroke. Or, last time when I tried this, that it caused me to feel more numb on my right side. And it made me feel depressed or detached. So I was like, don't ask my permission next time because I don't want to get sick. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I didn't, but there was a part of me that felt as if I violated is a strong word, or that my body had been trespassed against, but then there was gratitude as well, because just knowing that I could still function as a woman, as a human being.
Yeah.
And it was like after that point, then things started beginning to heal in that area, and in other parts of my legs moving better, arms moving better, not feeling,
the blockages in the lower chakras.
Yeah. And so it was very helpful.
Well, good. We've got a couple of questions there. Stephen wanted to know about legal question.
We can try. We can try. I don't usually. That's not my forte. But
he says anytime for legal on my personal injury case. His attorney had to quit for due health for health concerns and a surgery that he could not postpone. The trial is in February, and he's looking for a new law firm next week. So he's wanting to know a little bit of insight into that.
So is he looking for a time frame?
Yeah, so the trial is in February, and he's searching for a new law firm. So I guess he's wanting to know how the outcome may be on that. Okay,
because I was going to say, a lot of times when I have struggle with some things or a time frame, I use this dowsing chart that I have, and I use the pendulum and the dowsing chart. But as far as what law firm, if he had more than one, because I'm not getting a law firm. I don't hear a law firm, so I don't have. But if he wants to know if the case is going to go in his favor or any type of dates or anything like that, I'm looking for. But I mean, I do see that it is going to go in his favor. But if he wants to be a little bit more specific, then that would be helpful, because as far as changing law firms, wanting to change law firms. Now, is the changing of the law firm going to be beneficial to his case? Yes. Yeah. So that he's wanting to change and wanting to know that's going to be beneficial. So the answer from Spirit is yes, it is going to be beneficial for him.
Okay.
Now, if he needs any, he already knows the court date, and I mean, is that everything going to go on time?
Okay.
Please, Spirit. No, I mean he may have something delayed. He may have something delayed. So is there going to be a delay? He have him. I don't want him to expect, but there's a possibility of a delay. I'm being told of a delay.
Okay.
That there's a delay in the case.
Yeah, he's saying he needs a new law firm fast. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does. But it will work out in your favor, though. It's going to end up in your favor. It's just going to be frustrating. But I don't see this being a huge delay. If anything, a 2-month delay.
Yeah, he said his main concerns are rehab and business and inventions are back on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all going to get back on track.
Okay.
It will, but it's like when he says those things, it's like a trickle down. Like how you have I see like this fountain, then to where one thing flows into one cup, into another cup, another cup. So it's like all these things are going to be filled and fulfilled, but it's just a minor delay with the court process itself.
Okay. And real quick, Judy was wanting a general reading, if you could. Birth date is 3/24/55.
Why general? 3/24/55?
Yes.
3/24/55. They've got some. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. What I'm hearing from Spirit is so if I had this person in front of me, I would ask what it is that they were wanting to achieve, what it is that they've been waiting for, because Spirit is telling me that their answer is going to come to whatever the situation. That there's going to be something that's happening that's going to come quick and fast and rapidly, to where they're pretty much going to have to fasten their seatbelts in life, because because of the speed of how things are changing, how they're going to have it. But it's positive. It's positive, and I know that sounds vague, but I believe there's travel involved in it too as well. I believe that you're going to hear about this. You'll be inundated with phone calls, whether it's phone calls, emails, faxes, things like that. But there's an event that's taking place in your life, and it's present time. So it should be something that would happen this month or within the next couple of weeks. That is like mind-blowing, rapid, unexpected, wonderful thing happening that's going to cause you to have to make a quick decision and quick movement. But it's not displeasure. It's something that's going to be a good thing. So I would ask, is there any area of your life where you are expecting an answer or expecting change in?
Okay, cool. I should be able to help her out some there.
Did she say?
No, she hasn't said anything yet. But how, before we run out, get shorter on time while we're waiting for a response from her, Judy, if you just go ahead and message in the chat room, then I can, on the comment area, we can put it back up there for Christine. How can everyone reach you for a private one-on-one reading?
For private one-on-one reading, I have the, oh my goodness, I should have, Spirit Mother Psychic, I believe, is my Facebook page. Okay. Spirit Mother Psychic, and if not, see, I should have been more prepared. I don't want to say find Michael. I don't want to do that. But
Spirit Mother Psychic.
But I'm pulling it up. So I just started. Spirit Mother Psychic. It's a new page. Not too many people like me, but that's okay. As long as one person loves it's new. But like me there, and also I have my regular Facebook page. If you're normal, you're not into drama, and you don't get too political on me. Facebook.com/Certified Spiritual Life Coach is my personal page. And of course, you can reach me there as well. I do the whole Avon thing and Texas Notary. So probably if you just go to Certified Spiritual Life Coach, right after Facebook.com/Certified Spiritual Life Coach. And then I'll just add you to all my pages, and you can get some lipstick too, and man facial products and stuff like that. So okay. We'll do that too. Yeah.
well, we can also post into the comment section down below, and everyone will go ahead and have that in there when they go ahead and listen and read some of the comments. So okay. We can go ahead and do that. Unless you're there unless you're already there on a Facebook Live page, on there you can comment or anything. Then you can go ahead and post that down at the bottom. So.
Okay. I'm not there, but okay. I will be if you want to talk about anything.
No, we're getting close on time, so we just wanted to get that information out to people so they can contact you for one-on-one reading. And you're on a couple of different psychic networks?
I'm on a lot. I am on Arena, although I'm taking a break from that. I do, like I said, the psychic text, and I'm also on Bitwine. But that's under Lady Josephine. But if you type in Spirit Mother together, everything's pretty much Spirit Mother, then you should get a hold of me. I was swimming in the Purple Ocean and Psychic Source, but God loved them. It just wasn't for me. So I was just like, no, it's not vibing. So I'm just down to Bitwine, Psychic Text, and Orena, and then my own personal pursuits, personal ones.
Cool.
So.
Well, good. Yeah, we'll have to. I know I was checking out some of those psychic networks and all too, and it's like, one of these days. But Spirit's guiding me to where I need to be going, and like you, doing a lot of different things. I'm going to start selling some CBD oil under the name of Be the Light, Sarah Luz. We're going to have our little logo and have that be made available where one of the websites people can go to and have it shipped anywhere in the world.
Right.
So they can go ahead and do some holistic healing and natural stuff.
Well, I was interested in that and was going to, message you about that because, like, whenever I have tried to smoke because someone said, smoke because I have an autoimmune disorder,
mm-hmm.
and it causes me to have a lot. I can have flares to where the pain is just out of this world, insane. Yep. And I think I spoke to you about that a couple of years ago. But I mean, it's like incredible. It's incredible. And so it's like, smoke some weed, smoke some cannabis. And I did though, but and maybe it's just the strain, but it just really activates my nerves more and causes more pain. But then somebody told me to try the cannabis oil and
the CBD oil, because you don't have because it doesn't have the THC, and the THC can overstimulate the nerves and everything else.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm going to start selling it, but I'll message you on how you can get some now. Because I'm redesigning. I'm designing the label because I have a distributor that I can get it from. And they're like, well, you can create your own label and have your own line. I'm like, okay. So
90
take
seconds.
Our logo that's up on the right screen, the left-hand side of me, or the right-hand side of there where you see the Be the Light and Sarah Luz.
Mm-hmm.
That will probably be the logo I'm going to put on the label. So we'll have our own CBD oils, but I'll send you how you can go ahead and get some now.
And I know so many families that have children that have seizures, like my Jenny.
Yep.
And I've even been wanting to get her off of the phenobarbital and getting her on cannabis oil.
Cool.
60
seconds. After the show, I'll go ahead and send you some information that I have, and I got to get that started so I can start retailing it and selling it. And that everyone is going to help keep the shows on the air, because right now I don't charge the guests. Some radio shows do. And I don't even charge the callers. So all the shows that I'm doing are broadcasting, like Be Live, I pay for that each month. Blog Talk Radio, all this other stuff I've been paying for each month, and it's fine and dandy. But I got to start bringing some money coming in so it can go ahead and support itself, and that's one way we're going to do that. So it's by going ahead and selling the CBD oil and helping people. And with me living here in Costa Rica and having my website in Amsterdam, the FDA in the United States cannot tell me, you can't say that. And it's like, yeah, yes, I can. I don't live there anymore.
10 seconds.
So it's going to be nice. But yeah, I'll definitely message you in a few moments and give you some of that information. But I want to thank you again for joining me so much and being patient while I was waiting for the internet to come back on.
Well, you're sweet. I wasn't patient. You'll see that later. I wasn't patient. Very, but you're wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'll talk to you in Messenger in just a few moments.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, dear.
Bye.
All right, everybody. And if you go to BeTheLightNow.com, you can get a lot more information about upcoming shows. Also, if you go to Facebook.com, BTL Now, Be the Light Now, it's just BTL and then Now. And that will also give you a listing of upcoming shows that's coming on, because we're booked all the way into September. So Monday nights and Wednesday nights, we have the show for about 2 hours, have some amazing guests on. Many people who have not been on the shows before are going to be joining us. So you have to go ahead and check that out. We're on Blog Talk Radio as well. I know we're going to take some other calls, but seeing that the show started late, we didn't have many callers in there, but it was important to go ahead and get the information out that we did. So until later on, everybody, have fun, be good, and know that you're loved. And, really love the shows. Let your friends know about them, so you have to tune in. So like us there on Blog Talk Radio or on Facebook. Share the links. Invite your friends to the BTL Now on Facebook. And go to the website. And if you are on Android, you can download our app. Go to the Google Play Store and type in Be the Light Now. You will see the little sunburst logo on there. That is where you can go ahead and download our app, and you can listen to the shows when they're broadcast live or in archive from anywhere in the world. When we start getting more money coming in, we're going to be broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with some meditation music. And to help you to be able to go ahead and relax more, we're going to be doing some rebroadcast of shows around the clock, so you can get all the help that you need. So until later on, everybody have fun, be good, and know that you are loved because I love you. Come visit me here in Costa Rica. Bye.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.